Hey guys, welcome to Mad Scientist BBQ. I'm Jeremy Yoder, and today I'm going to show you how I cook my favorite steak in the entire world. Before we start cooking, I want to talk about the perfect complement to a steak. Certain foods and drinks just seem to go together. If you're at a baseball game and you have hot dogs, a nice cold beer seems to match up with that really well. With steak, its perfect complement is a nice glass of wine. That leads me to today's sponsor, Bright Cellars. If you're a wine connoisseur or a newbie, Bright Cellars has something to offer you. Bright Cellars is a monthly wine subscription that uses a 7-question quiz to match wines to you based on your taste. Opening a new box of wine that was selected just for you is super exciting. There are hundreds of private label wines from all around the world that work with Bright Cellars, and more being added every month, so there are always new wines to try. You can send it directly to your door. Plus, you can impress your friends and family with the knowledge from the education cards that come with each box. Bright Cellars is giving my subscribers 50% off their first 6-bottle box. So click the link in the description, take the quiz, and get started. These are the 6 wines that were selected for me. I've got 5 reds and 1 white, and the wine that I've chosen to pair with steak today is a Cabernet Sauvignon called Rising Tale. Oh, that's gonna go perfectly with steak. I remember reading a couple years ago about a guy who was talking about his last meal ribs. What he meant was, if he had one meal left on this earth that he could eat before he dies, it would be those ribs. For me, I think it would be this steak. So if you gave me all the options of every steak in the entire world, this is the one I would choose if I only had one meal left. So to show you how to do this, let's jump into the process first by telling you what you're gonna need. You're gonna need salt, you're gonna need pepper, you're gonna need a cast iron pan, you're gonna need beef tallow, garlic, butter, I prefer Kerrygold butter, and then finally, some thyme. The good news is I can find the meat from my favorite steak at Costco. So I ran to Costco and got a beef tenderloin. And I've actually found, kind of counterintuitively, that I prefer the choice beef tenderloin from Costco rather than the prime. For some reason, it just turns out more tender and it's better. So I'm gonna open up this package and then we're gonna cut out our perfect steak. The best steaks come from the middle of the tenderloin, so I'm gonna cut it right here. With a beautiful cut of meat like this, you don't need a lot. So we're just gonna season it with salt and pepper. While the steak warms up on the cutting board, let's get our pan ready. We want it nice and hot so we get a great sear. Step 1, turn on the burner. All right, step 2 is get some beef tallow. I like the Wagyu beef tallow because it gives you kind of the luxurious mouthfeel of Wagyu beef, but without having to buy Wagyu beef. So we're gonna use that. Also, it's got a high smoke point, so it's great for searing. So we're gonna open this up and put some in the pan. Now be careful when you add the tallow that you don't add too much. If you add too much tallow or too much oil of any kind, you're not going to get the kind of sear that you want. So we're going to let this melt, and when this whole thing gets to about 500 degrees, we're ready to start searing. Starting to smoke, now it's time to put the steak on. I just added a little bit more beef tallow. You can always add more, but if you add too much, it's hard to take it out because it's super, super hot. Now we're starting to get golden brown. This looks really good. We still want it to get a little bit darker. We want more flavor to build up. So right now we're getting close. It's starting to get that dark color that I want. And what I do is I move it around the pan so it goes from one hot spot and then to the next, and to the next, and to the next, so it's always on hot metal. So this is good, a little bit more and we're gonna be right. This is the kind of crust we want to see. So we're going to flip it and get the same on the other side. Now we have a good sear on the bottom side. So what we're going to do is we're going to add butter, garlic, and thyme so we can infuse some flavor and finish this cook. When this gets to the internal temp that you want, for me, I like 129. I pull it off, and now we let it rest. We don't do anything to it for 10 minutes. So we've let this steak rest for 10 minutes so all the juices can kind of redistribute and we're ready to cut it open. But first, let me talk to you a little bit about why we work so hard to get that sear. The sear comes from the Maillard reaction. So it's a lot of organic chemistry that's going on, but what you need to know is that when you get a great sear or a great crust on a steak, it tastes incredible. Let's see how we did. Good crust. All right, so this is like a medium that I like. For fillets, I think a medium is a little bit better for me because I think if you go medium rare, then it can get kind of chewy and stringy. I don't like that. For me, this is absolutely perfect. And I know the combinations of flavors that I've added to the outside between the sear, the garlic, and the thyme, and the butter are gonna make this wonderful. So let me give this a taste and let's see how we did. That's a last meal steak. You get the crunch of the sear on the outside, you get salt, pepper, butter, everything marries perfectly. And then if you complement all that with a great wine, you've got an incredible meal, worthy of a last meal even. If you think this steak looks good, you should try this technique. I've tried every steak cooking technique under the sun. This one's my favorite. If you want yours a little bit less cooked, then pull it at a lower temperature. If you want it more cooked, you can pull it at a higher temperature. But this combination of flavors is lights out killer. If you want to impress someone, cook a steak this way and you'll do it. Now, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Mad Scientist BBQ. I'll see you guys next time.